Okay, it's recording. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep, we hear you. You hear us okay?
Roger.
All right, Diana, Michael, Roxanne, can you hear us? It might be.
Yeah, we can hear.
All right, thank you. All right, so it is 6:07 PM, August 1st, 2024. This is a meeting of the Executive Board of Bronx Community Board 11. Welcome. I'm going to start with introductions, but before I do that, I just want to point out that it came to my attention last night that the agenda was not posted in time. I am aware of that. Many of us are aware of that, and it's something that's going to be addressed. Although not this evening. Moving forward, we are going to make every effort to ensure that the agendas are posted in a timely manner. Moving on, I am Cynthia Rodriguez, Chair of Bronx Community Board 11.
Rich Reynoso, Vice Chair, CB11.
Harry Santiago, Sergeant at Arms, CB11.
I'm Hazel Mira, I'm Secretary, CB11.
Veronica Castro, Treasurer, CD11.
We do have some of our new members here this evening. Do you want to kind of go around and do quick
Yeah, I think
introductions
that'd
of
be
the
good.
new members?
My name is Kadara Nikiolo.
My name is Jacqueline Lutnick.
My name is Patrizia Cambria, but you can call me Pat.
All right, Pat. Welcome.
Welcome.
Oh, great.
Alex Ellison.
All right. Well, welcome, everyone. and Thank you for joining us. Moving on the agenda, review of meeting minutes. Do we have any minutes? Okay. So I think the purpose of this meeting was for us to kind of get together and get a sense of what direction we would like to see the board move in for this next term. One of the ideas with regards to going over the bylaws, particularly roles and responsibilities, I think a lot of that has been lost over time. So I don't know if you want to go over it individually or if it's something we're just putting out there this evening conceptually to discuss and, you know, discuss separately, or if you want to get into the weeds this evening. What are your thoughts?
I think for people that are new in their position, it'd be good to go over some information, because I don't know if anyone prior has actually sat down with them to let them know what's expected of them or anything like that. So I think that's something we really should touch on.
I concur.
Yep.
And to think Jeremy printed out the bylaws.
I'll print four more, if that would be helpful.
I have them up on my
Okay.
phone, so.
Everyone votes.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so. We'll start with, sorry, what page is it on? All right, page 5 of the bylaws, the chairperson. So the chairperson shall preside at all hearings and meetings of the full board, file all reports for the community board, be a member of the district service cabinet and the borough board, appoint all members to at least one committee but not more than 4 committees, be a voting member of the leadership committee, and an ex officio member of all other standing, special, and ad hoc committees, and exercise all those powers granted to them by the charter, ULURP, and these bylaws. The chairperson may appoint a board officer to represent the community board at any borough board meeting. The chairperson supervises the district manager and all other managerial staff. Are there any questions, comments, objections, thoughts?
No.
Rich, you stood in today
Yeah.
for that meeting at
At Blondo's,
Yes.
yes, at the show.
yes,
Yeah.
thank you for that.
It was fun. Yeah, it was good. It was really state of the art.
Oh, it's done, well, that brand new building.
Yeah, it's really big.
It's nice from there.
Oh, yeah, it's nice from the inside.
As vice chair, why
Yep.
don't you read?
Yeah, then we could go down. The vice chairperson shall, in the absence of the chairperson, have all powers and perform all duties of the chairperson. Upon the occurrence of a vacancy in the office of chairperson, The vice chairperson shall assume the office of acting chairperson until such time as a new chairperson shall have been elected. The vice chairperson shall have such powers and perform such duties and shall be assigned to said person by the chairperson of the community board. The vice chairperson, when holding the position of acting chairperson, shall chair all the executive board meetings.
Rich, I believe I'm on every committee as ex officio, right? I know you're on several committees
Yep.
at this point in time. Is your plan to remain on all those committees?
I think for now, I want to see, I spoke to Jeremy about it. I want to see what the need is.
Okay.
Like who's missing what? I know folks, like public safety, I think it's missing a chairperson. I'm not sure. I think last we saw, right?
Yeah, at the next meeting, you guys have to
Yeah,
vote
so that's
your chair.
dependent who's, if one committee's as packed, then I'll leave. Want to read the treasurer?
Sure.
Even though.
Bear with me, I have no glasses.
Yeah,
The treasurer shall be the fiscal officer of the community board. The treasurer shall be responsible for all financial matters. The treasurer's responsibility also include the preparation of all financial accounts and records and the filing of all financial reports as directed by the Office of Management and Budget, the Office of the Comptroller, the General Services Administration and Financial Information Systems Agency. Specifically, the treasurer shall be the custodian of the community board's petty cash imprest account, if existent. In addition, the treasurer shall run their monthly financial report to community board, as well as retain such powers and perform such duties as shall be assigned to said person by the chairperson of the community board. The treasurer shall, in the absence of the vice chair, have all powers and perform all duties of the vice chairperson. Upon the occurrence of a vacancy in the office of vice chairperson, the treasurer shall assume the office of acting vice chairperson and hold office as such until a new vice chairperson shall have been duly elected. And then we go on to secretary.
So Veronica, are there any areas where you think there needs to be clarification or?
Well, we don't have the petty cash account. We have the Friends of account, which, and I've said this before, and hopefully we can actually do something about it this fiscal year. We need to start replenishing that account. So we need to come up with ideas of how we can replenish the account, because we are using the funds still, unfortunately. As we're using the funds, the amount in there is going down, which is what usually happens. But for those who don't know, we used to have a fair at by Bronx Park East, I think it is, or Boston Road and Pelham Park, where there used to be a fair there. That annual fair used to help to replenish our Friends of account. We haven't had that in, I want to say off the top of my head, about 4 years.
Probably before COVID.
Yeah, before COVID. So that money is not being put back into the account like we usually do. So we have new faces, new members, maybe we have new ideas of ways that we can replenish the account in other ways. So it's just something to think about. Any suggestions are welcome.
I'm sorry, I can't, do you have a copy of the finals to return?
Yeah, but I don't know if I'm gonna try, because I left my glasses right on my desk.
Me too. I left them home.
Secretary, the secretary shall be responsible for the transcription. I can't.
Reproduction.
Thank you.
The
All of the
secretary
podcast
shall be
times.
responsible for the transcription, reproduction, and dissemination of an accurate compilation of the acts and resolutions taken by the community board at each of its monthly meetings. This compilation, known as community board's minutes, need not be prepared directly by the secretary, but may be coordinated with the district office staff. That's it.
Short and sweet.
So, Hazel, I do have a question about the minutes, because I know it's come up in other meetings. How are the minutes submitted, posted? How is it that it's supposed to, what's the process?
So I take the minutes and so does Harry. And we have to, kind of play off each other. If she's missing something, or I'm missing something, you know, we communicate. Hi. Hi. And then they're sent down, once they're completed and I take a look and she takes a look and everything is okay, it's approved by me, it's sent downtown to be posted. And that's normally or usually where the problem exists.
What do you mean?
Because sometimes they will post them on time and sometimes they won't. So once it leaves this office, it's like we really have no control over the people that post them on the website, which has always been an issue with us. And we have brought it up to them on many occasions, but it is what it is. And there have been times when we've gotten them out late. I'm not gonna say we're perfect because we're not. But like I said, once, you know, once we do what we need to do, and the city needs to do what they need to do, they don't always do.
Do you know if this is the process across the board for the community boards or?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Jeremy would be the best person.
Yeah.
to ask that.
Jeremy, can you hear us?
Yes,
As far as minutes.
Mhm.
Is it a universal thing as far as sending the minutes downtown to then be posted?
so the way the process for minutes for each community board is different. Sometimes it's entirely the staff who does it. Sometimes the staff doesn't do it at all. Depends on the community board. Sometimes the staff relies on downtown. Sometimes they don't. It really runs the gamut. You know, there was a news article last year. We and Board 10 were the only ones in the Bronx that were consistently posting full board meeting minutes. So yeah, it really runs the gamut. I
So
know
as-
that's not exactly helpful,
Yeah.
but I mean, I'm just being honest with you.
Yeah. So I guess the question is, how can we improve on that? Do you
For
think it's
me or for
realistic?
the board?
For us?
Yeah, no, I mean, is that question, is that for me or is that for everybody?
I guess I'll leave it open.
I mean, I can answer, but I'll leave it to other people first.
Well, first, we have to get the committees to actually start writing minutes, because there's a lot of committees. And I myself am guilty of it, because for economic development, I used to do it all the time. And then we were supposed to be sent, like, everybody in the committee is supposed to take a turn at doing minutes, but it wasn't happening. So sometimes it gets a little laborious. Yeah,
I was gonna ask, I don't think committees have secretaries, right?
no, there's
So
no
I think we're all
secretary.
doing it by,
Right, sometimes it falls to the chair, but then it becomes, it labors every month for them to do it, and I think if we went back to everybody taking a turn at writing the minutes, it might help a little bit. But that's one thing we gotta get better at, the committees need to get their minutes in order, because that seems to have fallen behind. And then Jeremy, are we still sending it to the city to post up on the website, or can we change that so that we do it here in the office instead of waiting for the city to do it?
No, we do it in-house. It's just a matter of, I mean, like,
We do.
so it's basically, if you want to know the process, the way it works is Harriet does notes, Hazel does notes. Harriet types it up into a Word document. She hasn't always done this, but I've told her lately, like, look, cause she has a lot of blanks a lot of the time, I like, talk to Hazel. You know, Hazel does take notes. And then I review it and I send it out to everybody. We publish it. That's generally how it works. And we publish it in-house. I send it to Chris or whatever when it's ready. Ideally, it'll be in draft form. It'll have a draft watermark. I can tell you, so we had 2 minutes in January. I can tell you that got screwed up because, yeah, I ended up losing the original agenda. What I do is I take the agenda. I know this is minutia here, but it helps to give you a full understanding of what we're doing, or what we always have done or tried to do. I mean, the minutes used to be 14 pages long. So we have cut down dramatically on the amount of work needed for it. And we do have draft forms of all these minutes. It's just, it usually comes down to me reviewing it and tweaking it before we publish it. You don't have to rely on me for everything, though. I mean, for this, everything on this, you know, like we can publish what we have right now, but I also do the attendance too. And that's when it comes to committees, it's easiest to start with attendance. Getting the habit of consistently doing the attendance. Quite often, I have to go back to chairs and say, hey, is this person absent? They excuse what, you know? Oh, let me let everyone.
The first one to left on there.
Thank you.
It'll keep ringing,
It'll
but
keep ringing.
it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have.
Hey,
All right, so Jeremy, you there?
Yeah, I'm back.
All right, go on.
I don't know. Let's see, where was I?
So Jeremy, can we disseminate some of the responsibilities of reviewing those minutes to the other staff members? I mean,
Yeah.
they could easily review it, and make any changes or any corrections, and then have it posted up if that's what the issue is. If that's part of the issue, is the time it takes to review it.
Yeah.
I
Because
think,
like, but,
wait, Jeremy.
Hold
let
on,
me-
Jeremy.
Yeah,
all right, go ahead.
Kristen and I work really close with the minutes. I mean, you see me, I go crazy. I do the 14 pages.
Right.
She does less than me. That's why she's always calling me, because I'm very accurate. And lately, in the last couple of months, her and I have really been going back and forth to make sure that the minutes are correct. So I was mistaken, because I thought we had to send them downtown.
We used to do that, I know that.
Yeah, I know, that's how it was. I didn't
Well,
realize.
it depends if there's an issue now with our website.
Okay.
So
But
that's good. If you and Harriet are reviewing
Yeah.
this, that should be a sign off right there.
Well, so we don't have to send anything downtown. That's what I'm hearing.
Unless there's a problem with
Unless there's
them
a
doing
problem.
it. in
Right.
Most of the time, there shouldn't be a problem.
no, well, now that I know.
Well,
there's
no,
no
yeah,
problem.
that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're signing saying that from February to June.
But we have those in draft, we're saying?
Yeah, we have
Every-
basically all the minutes well, except for maybe one of the January meetings. But I do think I did send that to Harriet, the template. She always relies on me for the template, but I think she's on every other minutes. I don't know, I'll have to double check. There were 2 meetings in January.
So
I thought our minutes were up to date.
No.
Because her and I have been communicating.
I mean,
So-
they're not up to date to the
They're
point
not
that
posted.
they've been published.
No, but I know that her and I have been communicating, and she should have completed them already. Well, the ones that, okay, so I think me and Harry need to have a conversation.
All right. I mean, I think, I think it's great that, in general, we're doing so well with minutes. That's great. That's wonderful. But I think, we should be in compliance with open meetings, and if minutes are supposed to be posted within 2 weeks, we've really got to do better. So, I mean, maybe it's something for us to brainstorm as to how we can improve it. Can we get an intern to help with minutes or something? But, all right.
Yeah, he also had some surgery, so. And so did I.
All right. So we've got, did we go over everyone? Harry, Sergeant at Arms.
Yes.
Sergeant Bear with no glasses. Sergeant at Arms shall keep order at the monthly board meeting and shall advise the chairperson of the board of plenary matter. The first election for Sergeant at Arms shall be in accordance with the Article 6, Section 6 of these bylaws, except that the first term of the Sergeant at Arms shall be for 1 year. See its touch Article Section 5. The first person elected shall take over on July 1st following their election.
Do we have any questions about the Sergeant at Arms? One thing that I've discussed with Naomi, because she's the chair of the ethics committee, is maybe having some sort of a 101 in terms of Robert's rules, parliamentary procedure. I think it'll be useful for all of us, as well as our new members coming in who may not be well versed in those things, so that we can all kind of get on the same page and understand what the flow should be at our meetings.
It's a great idea.
Yes.
Sorry. So bylaw descriptions, we did, and so as far as attendance, I think full board attendance doesn't seem to be a problem. Right? We've been
Last year, I think last year we had a problem.
I think the problem when at the end, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, towards the end is, I think, the issue. Folks skip out.
How do we address that?
Well, yeah, that's the leaving early part.
The leaving early, yeah.
Mm.
That's an issue. I also think we need, and I've said this before, and you guys will hear me say it all the time, because it's what I feel. We need to do better with the remote attendance. People don't need to be remote. They shouldn't be remote. They need to make a better effort of attending the meetings in person. Because we have people who are going out and they're sitting at home when they really don't need to. There are people who do need to, and that's totally understandable.
Agreed.
But if you don't have a special reason why, and that's something that needs to be told to the chair and the DM, then you shouldn't be home. You should be in attendance with everybody else who's made the effort to come out and sit there in person for these meetings. And I'll say this to the new people, do your best to attend in person, because one, you miss the camaraderie of being together with your board members and afterwards speaking with each other and getting to know each other. If you don't have that, then we can't really work very well together. So we got to start working better together, and being in person is going to help that. Again, if you have a reason why you need to be home, that's between the chair and the DM and you. But if you don't really have one of the special reasons to be home, please don't. Please come in, because that does count towards quorum. If you're not in person, you cannot be counted towards quorum.
You can't vote.
That's something that we have a problem with in the committees too. We've had a lot of committees lately where we cannot hold an official meeting because we do not have quorum, because people are showing up online instead of coming in person. So that's something that we need to address also.
I got a question. I understand this is volunteer, but are we gonna set a limit of how many excuses we can have?
There is in the bylaws.
We have to enforce that then.
Mhm. That's something I asked Jeremy to do, and he's working on, is getting all the attendance for all the committees and all the full boards. And I had mentioned it to Cynthia, and she's following up on that, because there is a certain amount of times you're allowed to be.
Yeah.
And that's in combination with committees and with full board.
Right.
So that's something that we need to start enforcing again.
Jeremy?
Yeah, so throughout the evening so far, I hear a lot of potential bylaw changes. Even when Harry read the description for his position, the bylaws are still written as when the Sergeant Arms position was first created, right? There's I know some people have already expressed this, that there should be an overhaul of our bylaws. Maybe we should consider having you leave, if you consistently leave early for a meeting, unless you have maybe a valid reason, you get marked, you can be brought before the executive board for attendance. But committees, when it goes to committees in attendance, again, if you're the chair of the committee, you're ultimately responsible for filling out that sign-in sheet. So for example, if one of you weren't here tonight, Cynthia needs to either call you or make the decision to mark you absent or excused if she knows that you have something that came up. Also, I've tried to get in the habit of, and this has helped when I remember to do it, if you remind me to do the attendance, we'll go through it publicly, and I'll do it on my spreadsheet, because that's ultimately where it goes when it gets published in the full board minutes. Ideally, every committee meeting minutes will have a similar format for attendance. I mean, I can go on and on, but that's just.
No. I get it. just gonna say something and I lost it.
I have a question if I'm allowed to ask.
Give us 2 minutes, because we'll have a gallery set. Do we have a gallery session?
Yeah, yeah.
We'll have a gallery session. You can bring
Oh, yeah.
your questions.
Also, Cindy, that's what I
Yes.
was gonna say. If you could explain, I know Veronica was talking about quorum. But I'm not sure everybody in the room knows what it means to have quorum.
Yes.
And just for clarification, if you're not part of the committee, even though you're a board member, you're considered part of the gallery. So that's why Cynthia's asking if you can wait for this, not because we don't want you to talk, it's just because you're a board member, but you're not part of this particular committee, so you're considered part of the gallery. Just for clarification.
So, no committee, we can't say nothing.
No, understood.
So quorum.
Yeah,
Naomi also is planning on having a open meetings law 101 refresher for the board. I mean, it'll probably be through her committee, but I think everyone in general on the board should attend because there are a lot of points of confusion. A lot of people don't understand things like Jeremy was saying with quorum. Who can attend remotely, who should not be attending remotely. That information is online, but we're going to hopefully have something in September to help everyone kind of understand what the process is as far as those little nuances with meetings. Okay? Jeremy, you jumped ahead of me a little bit. But with regards to the bylaws, that'll be item 4C on the agenda that I want to bring up. So moving on to committees, I know there has been an issue with voting on support letters. I know you were having a particular issue with the most recent one with NISNA. Jeremy?
Sorry, I was looking at my phone. People are texting me.
All right.
Yeah, so I did a draft letter. Took a while, but there was also some back and forth going on with NISNA. But my concern is, and I've talked to quite a few of you about this, and so far I've only heard agreement. So this is voted on in May. We voted on this in May, and before we vote to send a letter, maybe we should have some semblance of what the contents of the letter are going to be, right? Because I did a draft, they asked for a support letter. I ran it by them. There are things that they wanted me to include in it. And so I included that stuff, but it didn't seem to sit well with necessarily board members. So if going forward, if you're on a committee and you're going to vote to send a letter of some sort, I think we should clearly spell out the parameters of the letter. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
There are some
That's
committees
tough,
that
though.
have templates, like for economic development, it's just a thing
Yeah.
that we support or we don't support, and there's a template, but for something like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, 'cause
more-
they brought that up spot on. They said, hey, we need this
Yeah.
out.
Right.
in X
So for
amount of
something
days.
like that, I think even if they want it that quickly, then they need to provide us with
A
something,
draft or something.
a draft so that we can
Okay.
read it at the committee and then we know what we're voting on. Otherwise, if they want it, then they have to wait for it and provide us with a draft or wait for something to be drafted before we vote on it. That's just my opinion.
Especially if there's a time limit attached.
Exactly.
Cindy, do you want me to make a copy of the last draft I did?
Yes.
Okay.
That's fine. Thank you. So definitely, I agree. I think if somebody's asking for us to support a particular issue or a particular motion, then they can send us a draft of
Right.
it and help us refine it and
Exactly.
get it clear. I know Diana, in the past, you've even volunteered to write drafts for us with regards to support letters. So I think it also takes the pressure off, the particular
Yeah.
committee chairs or the staff. All right.
But I think it's upon the committee chairs, if they're gonna invite someone to a committee, to make sure that they advise them that they need to provide a draft letter if that's what they're looking for.
And we'll remind folks monthly, I think, at meetings. Okay.
You get the copy.
Yep,
Yeah, okay.
okay.
Thank you.
Item 4B, review of standing and non-standing committees. I know, Veronica, you and I have kind of touched on this a little bit. I think it's really important for us to kind of take a look at all our current committees. Is there room for restructuring? Are there committees that can be combined? I know we've discussed the non-standing committees and we can go over those individually in a second. But I think these standing committees, part of our issue, I feel, with the quorum and with making quorum is that we have so many committees that it's just, you know, if you have one person on 3, 4, or 5 committees, it becomes burdensome for one person to attend committee meetings 4 or 5 times a month on top of any extraneous work that they're doing. So I didn't want that, just share.
I think with the new board members, I don't think
Veronica,
necessary.
when you said restructure, you want to restructure the standing committees or the non-standing?
The standing,
Okay.
or seeing where there's wiggle room to, you know, redesign our overall committee structures. I've looked at all the Bronx community boards that had bylaws posted online. And I believe we're up there with like the most committees of most of the other boards. And so I think there's room for us to improve on that. And that's a conversation that, you know, is going to require talking to committee chairs and the respective committees as well, so that we can figure out which way we can go.
I was saying with the new members, I don't see why somebody should have to be on 4 or 5 committees. I think that would burn anybody out.
Yep.
At one point, I was on 6 committees, and trust me, it's a
Oh,
lot.
you lose the whole
It's a
month.
lot. Yeah,
Here every day.
basically, all your life is work,
And this-
community meetings, work, community works. So in my opinion, maybe 3 should be, you know, okay. But I don't think people should be on too many because you're gonna burn yourself out. And you need to be able to go to every meeting, every committee meeting that you're on, and if you can't make it, that's issue a quorum again. So
Yeah.
it's something to think about.
Yeah. So I am open to suggestions if people want to, you know, let's say you or Rich or Harry, whoever, Avril. If people want to send me ideas as far as like where you think, you know, there was a lot of talk in the past of combining sanitation and transportation. I'm not saying that that's, you know, something that I'm pushing for, but I think that if there are conversations where we think that maybe there are 2 committees that can be combined, send it to me. Let's look at it. We should explore it. And see where we can make some improvements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, that comes down to a full board vote.
Yeah, 'cause we have to
So-
vote.
Yep.
But
Yep.
I think that's probably something that we can and should visit. I agree.
Now that you mentioned full board vote and Jeremy mentioned the bylaws, we definitely need a bylaws committee meeting. It's something I've been referencing for quite a while. There are, and particularly with the recent investigative committee, you know, we found several areas
There
where
are
the
a lot of
bylaws.
X and D
Absolutely.
changed on.
Yeah.
That investigative committee detail was not specific at all. It hardly had any guidelines.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely more than that in the bylaws that
Yeah.
needs to be sharpened up a bit.
Do we have a bylaws committee?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Who's the head of that one? David?
Sandy and Joanne
Sandy, Joanne,
and Ellie or Ken, or both of them?
Yeah, all 4 of them on the committee,
Yeah.
but it's Sandy and Joanne, I think, are the chair and co-chair.
yeah.
Yeah, so we have to reach out to Sandy to see how soon we can get a bylaws committee meeting going. And my preference would be to see like a full review, going line by line and trying to see where the holes are, where the loopholes are, so that we can tighten them up and make them more functional.
I think that's something that the full board itself can start looking at to help the bylaws committee, just to give suggestions of where things could be changed and revised. Because I think for the whole committee to do a full scope of the bylaws, that's gonna take a while.
Yeah, I mean,
And
you
if we
think about
could help them
timeline.
with that will help, that would help them a lot if we could just give suggestions.
So Jeremy, do you think we can send out an email to the full board saying, something along, and we can't vote on anything today because the agenda wasn't posted in time, but like maybe we should send an email out to the full board, kind of asking them for thoughts on where we might make improvements in terms of the bylaws.
Yeah, I just would maybe want to suggest you speak to Sandy first, just make sure she's, that she doesn't feel blindsided, that's all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have no problems doing that.
I know she would, have you heard from her? I know she was possibly traveling, so I don't know if she's around.
She responded to an email earlier today. We got an
All right.
email from a potential guest speaker for our committee, so she responded.
All right. All right, the next item is the issue of creating a consistent election of chair schedule. Again, we can't vote on it, but it's something that we should tighten up in terms of language and process. Because we do have it in the bylaws that the individual committees can elect their own chairs. And it just hasn't been done, so. Any thoughts on that? Questions, comments?
How do committees select chairs now?
That's the thing.
We don't have any.
We haven't
Yeah.
done it.
There was a discussion on, do we have like a time period, like come September, is that when the new chairs are elected? And then come the next September is when a new chair is elected again, if that's what they want, because we don't want them to be switching out chairs every month because
Yeah.
they're unhappy with something, so.
But they
we want
could
it
do that?
Right now,
Yeah.
There's
technically,
nothing.
there's nothing
The
stopping them.
chair elects the chair for the
Yeah.
others.
No, it used to be the chair.
Not no more? Who does it now? The committee does?
The
Their
committee.
committee?
But no one has availed themselves of that
I think it's better
opportunity.
when you-
I thought,
We have,
I thought it was, I'm sorry. I
budget
thought,
and the budget committee actually
Yes, they
did an
did.
election. It's
Correct.
only two of them, but
Correct.
they did an election, they
I
chose
thought
their
it
chair,
was,
but
I'm sorry, I thought it was when a chair
That's
would
not
step
bad.
down.
no,
No.
it's at any time.
It was changed.
Committee can, right now, at any time, the committee can vote in a new chair.
The majority of the committee can vote.
Right.
Gotcha.
That's not how I.
And so
Yeah.
that we were saying, we had the discussion that we need to put a limit or time span on when they can vote in, because otherwise, like you said, they're gonna be voting in and out chairs because they're not happy with something.
Yeah.
But of course, if you're not happy with your committee chair, then that's something you bring up to the chair.
Yeah, that's
We have a discussion with her on what's going on, but to vote in new chairs, we had a discussion about a time, either in June or in September, but I think the discussion was that in June is when we lose members and get new members. So I think discussion basically landed on maybe in September, but that's
Yeah.
something, again, that the full board has to agree on, because we'd have to change it in the bylaws.
Okay, so it's a bylaw change.
What's up?
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we the ones that create, they have to go through bylaw first. Okay. I'm thinking September, we could probably maybe do that?
Yeah, so I think I could be wrong on this, somebody has to make the
The motion.
motion, they have to
Bylaws.
give it to the chair.
Yeah.
And it goes to the bylaw
Yep.
committee to be discussed, and then it goes to the full board.
Yeah.
I believe
And-
I could be wrong, but I believe that's the process.
It is, and even that language is vague because it says give it to the chair. Is it the chair of the bylaws committee or is it the chair of the board?
Technically, it's the chair of the board, but you're right.
It's not
Now
clear.
specify that in the bylaws, so
Right.
that should be specified that it's the chair of the board.
All right.
Let's- So if you,
Yep.
if you want, I can give you my 2 cents.
Sure.
Yeah, it's unequivocally the chair of the board, because remember, the bylaws is supposed to be a non-standing committee, only created when there is a proposed amendment. But yeah, I agree with you that it could be clarified, should be clarified. And yeah, the reason, Veronica already touched upon, but why versus trying to do a whole bylaw change, why don't we it's up to the board here, but why doesn't the executive board maybe suggest that each committee vote this September just to certify who they already have in that position, or if they don't have someone, because I think at least one committee doesn't have somebody, maybe? Yeah, public safety doesn't have it. Ellie is filling in as the acting chair.
Does education have theirs?
Yeah.
Mary is chair,
Oh, yeah.
but there's no, I don't think there's a co-chair for that.
There's not a co-chair.
Right.
But what I'm suggesting is, why don't we push the idea of putting this in practice to see if it's even feasible? You know, maybe the board wouldn't even go for it. But I
Right.
think, in my experience, bylaw changes, they can be proposed directly, but it's also good when it's already kind of being put into practice.
I do like the idea of kind of either reaffirming or reconsidering.
At the full board?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, moving on to the Friends of Community Board 11 account. Veronica, you touched on that. Do you want to say anything else?
For the new members that came in that didn't hear, we have a Friends of Community Board 11 account. That's where we use expenses for events or things like that. It's not our budget for the community board expenses, but like we had the Juneteenth event, we sponsored that, we gave money from that. We're using money from that account, but we're not replenishing it. About 4 years ago, we had, well, actually over 4 years ago, before COVID, we used to have a carnival by Boston Road and Pelham Parkway. And that, the money that was raised there was put into the Friends of account, and that replenished the account. We haven't had it in 4 years, but we've been using the money from that account. So the money is going down and we're not replenishing. So I suggested earlier that with the new members and the new ideas, and of course the old members and their ideas, we need to start coming up with ideas of what we can do to help replenish the account. Because if we can replenish the account, we can support more things. We can't support things if we run out of money. So we need ways to think of to help replenish this account. Because there's a lot of different things out there that we could help support, but if we can't do that if our hands are tied because we have no money. And that out of that comes the Verizon bill for the cell phones. And a couple other things, like when we have a dinner or something, that comes out of there. That's not taken out of the city budget that's given to us. So again, that's just something, any and all ideas are welcome, because we can even mix up ideas and come out with something fantastic. So if you have ideas, don't wait. Come to us, give us ideas. Let's start thinking about stuff.
Thank you. Jeremy, signatories.
So before that, though, on the whole, Veronica is correct. But when it comes to Juneteenth this year, we were, thanks to, I think, in large measure, Serena, we did get enough donations to basically cover the costs of what we spent out last year and this year, at least for the renting of the facility. But that was just to cover, it doesn't mean we're still not going to drain that account.
I meant it more as like an example, because
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else other than the dinners and stuff
Yeah.
that we do. Yeah, no, we usually get, last year, I think too, we got back the majority of the money that we put out for it also, if not all of it.
Yeah, but we need to update the signatories on that account. So right now, it's just people who are still involved with the board. It's just Joanne Rubino and me. We do have two non-board members on there. I think it makes sense to add the chair on down to the treasurer onto the account. And then if you agree with that, then we'll talk about what that actually entails, but we don't have to talk about that publicly. It's just a matter of going to the bank.
Yeah, the only thing we would have to coordinate a date and time.
Okay. All right. The tax filing?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of covered this in leadership last fiscal year. So yeah, we currently don't have an accountant. They've moved on, so to speak. It was a personal decision on their part. So I know Veronica, like, I think we could easily do it ourselves. I mean, it's not like, as long as you're not taking more than $50,000 a year, there's nothing to, it's a really simple form.
It's-
And I believe Veronica did publicly say that she could do it if necessary, right?
Yeah, I've done it. I do it.
Are you volunteering?
Well, she is the treasurer, so.
So I can do it. I just need the information for the login and stuff like that. If the board is happy to have me do it, I'm happy to do it. But that would be up to the board.
All right, so we can put that on, I think we can put that on the agenda for September, for the September meeting. Yeah. Okay. Councilmember Marmorato. Do you want to say hello?
Yeah, hi, everybody. Congratulations to the new members. I'm looking forward to seeing the positivity and great stuff we bring to the board this year. And I'm looking to work with everybody. And I know, next item is about the funding that I provided to the board. And it's like, I know last year there was a little bit of a issue with funding with parties and stuff like that. And I just want this money to help for events like this, maybe your holiday party, and any kind of smaller events that you want to do throughout the year. So you don't have to stress on where you're going to find the donations and the funding. And I just hope that it helps. I hope you guys have a very successful year to come. And I thank you for all you do and all the time that you give to the community. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So as far as the funding, it was 5,000?
5,000.
It was 5,000. And we already have some guidance as to, where some of that can go. You know me, I've been talking about outreach and having, even if it's, a case of pens or magnets or something community board, specific. So I don't know if that's something that we can, maybe see if we can price out, get some estimates.
Swag.
Yeah, something that
Yeah.
would be out on the tables for the meetings that people can take with them.
Exactly.
That would be.
Jeremy was working on a pamphlet about community board 11.
I remember
Yes,
that.
Yes,
That's
yes,
something that would be, if at least informative for people
Right.
when they come to the committee meetings or the full board meeting, just to have it on the table.
yeah. Yeah, so if it's some, maybe it's something we can vote on allotting, I don't know, let's say $500 to throw out a number. For pens or magnets, and we, price out and see what it might look like. It would be nice. I mean, part of what we do, we're supposed to be doing extensive outreach in the community. And part of the challenge to that is that, I go places, I've set up tables at events and, I've come out of pocket buying things because I want to have something to give. And, in terms of engagement, it makes a difference, I think. And, we can kind of reaffirm our presence throughout the district with everyone so that, even the smallest of trinkets will make a difference, so.
Any help with, we have a printer that is a city vendor, so we can always connect you with a local person, which is great because we could support small businesses and they can
That's
definitely
Tom?
provide you. What?
Is that Tom?
Yeah, he's been great.
Tommy's awesome, just FYI.
Very helpful
Awesome.
with our stations.
Thank you.
And it's all set up, so all you gotta do is just come on and he knows how to take care of it.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, so shall we move on to the gallery session? Jeremy, do we have anybody signed up?
I will check now. But if you want to start with the people in the room,
Okay,
I got a question. Is there a limit to how many gallery speakers we have in every meeting?
that's not, we don't have anything fleshed out in the bylaws.
Up to 5,
So-
10, 15, 30?
We don't, yeah, we don't
We
have,
actually don't have that many.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't know if
I'm
we-
just-
The only time we try and limit them
It's at
is
the
if
pool.
there's
Yeah.
a lot of people talking on the same subject from the same organization, and we ask that they have one representative.
Exactly,
speak.
we could get together and just
something
talk
like
about that topic, like the whiting of the
Right.
Parkway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You all get together, or can we, and then one person talk?
Yeah.
Because
That's it.
10 people talk about the same topic, we'll be there till midnight.
Yep.
But the other thing is, if they don't want to do that, we can't force them.
I know, okay, but I'm just saying that
Just
there was a limit.
FYI,
There was a
we
limit.
ask them to, but we can't force them.
all right, so I'll start back here. Is there anything you'd like to share, discuss?
Yeah.
Yes, so everyone will have 2 minutes.
We'll give you a 30-second warning.
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask if
I'm sorry, can you just give it?
Kadara, Kadarra, no, LOW, was just about not necessarily quorum specifically, but the attendance and people leaving early. And I wanted to know, have there been any questions or conversations asked about why people are leaving early? Like, is it because the meetings are running till 11 p.m.? And, you know, about showing up in person and the importance of that and the, you know, the community that it builds when you show up in person. So many organizations have evolved in terms of their meetings in person where they have like a hybrid situation going, and they might go online for maybe the winter months and then come back. You know, they'll be on for, I don't know, September, October, November, go black in December, January, February, and come back on. Like, is the weather or the time of year impacting that? I just was trying to have you ask questions around that, because if I had to stay anywhere until 12 a.m., I probably would be walking out as well. So I just
Agreed.
think that should be considered in terms of the decision making around alleviating or resolving the issue.
Ideally, our meetings wouldn't run to 11 o'clock at night. There have been instances lately
No,
that it has, but,
Say 70% of last year was
Yeah.
past 11 o'clock.
but ideally, our meeting starts, the full board starts at 7, we're out by like 9:30. That's, you know, ideal. We have had instances in the past a few months that we have run late due to situations that were going on, but an ideal meeting would be about 2.5 hours.
But open law states we could have both online but we need in-person quorum, right?
It's the mayor, was it that?
Correct. So that's still continuing, right, Jeremy?
Yes.
So until 2026, the rule is you have to have a quorum in person, with the exception of anybody who has a disability of any sort. They can, if they, like, say they had surgery or something, so they can't come now. It's for you personally. It's not like, because you got to take care of your mother, your brother, your sister, whatever. It's if you have a personal disability of some sort that's precluding you, you can count towards quorum.
If you're online.
That's the only exception. Everybody else, like, say I gotta watch my kids tonight or whatever, you can be online and you can vote as long as there is a quorum in person. And just to be clear, did you already discuss what a quorum actually means? Okay, just. So so a quorum tonight at the executive board is 3. Because we have 5 people here, you need half plus 1. Is the easiest way to think of it. Half plus 1. It's a majority.
So that's why for full board, it's hard if we have a bunch of people online, because we need a bigger amount for people to be in person in order to have a quorum. And that's where a lot of the voting, whatever comes out of committees, goes to full board for voting. So if we don't have a quorum, we can't vote. And that means that we either have to have another emergency full board meeting if there's something that has a deadline that needs to be met, or everything has to wait till the next full board meeting. And that kind of defeats the purpose.
Any questions on? Everybody good?
I think I have a follow-up question. Dear Taylor, new board member, you said it defeats the purpose for things to go to the next meeting. Why is that?
Because a lot of the things that come before us, they need to be addressed timely. So if we wait for another month, something could pass, we could miss something. So when we want to review something, we want to make sure that we review it, we vote on it, and we get it done. Because if the community has to wait for something and then we miss something because we waited, then the community is the ones that suffer, not us.
Is it for all decisions or just some decisions?
Pretty much most
Yeah.
decisions have to be voted on.
So it's like operating with a sense of urgency for every decision, essentially?
Well, I mean, I think it's one of those things where if, let's say, DOT wants to widen the lane, and they need a response by next month. But we don't have enough folks, if it's only one person here, we have to wait another month, so we miss our vote for that widening of the lane. The community board is not doing their job, because they haven't voted on it. Why haven't they voted on it? Because it's only one person here. So we're trying to preclude that by saying, folks, show up. But the issue is, We can't force them.
So-
Right.
So hold on. So just, let's clarify a few things. We are a recommending body, we're an advisory body.
Sure.
We don't have, so we don't like this project DOT. They usually, as what's happening in White Plains Road, they're doing it anyway, right? I got a board member complain, but we voted against this. And I said yes, and they said, so why come to us? Why give us a presentation? Well, why do they do that stuff? Well, because they know where the complaints come from. Quite often people call us to complain, or the council member's office, whatever. So they give us a heads up on what's going on. And it's not necessarily to get our approval, even though they seek it a lot of the times. Because when it suits their purposes, oh, the community board's in favor of it. But I think so in terms of specifics, examples, so liquor license applications, for example. State law requires the business, not the bodega here, like Patsy's, who sells where you can consume it on premise, the alcohol, not the bodega where you can go home with it, you can't consume it there. They're required to notify us 30 days in advance of their intent, whether it's a renewal application or a first-time application, or a change of corporation application. Are we required to, usually that committee will bring them in, especially if they're new, or renewals they don't handle, we're not required to do that. Right? Because ultimately, we just provide a recommendation. All the business are, but still, they have 30 days, right? Or we have 30 days if we want to get something in, assuming they notify us on time. You look application, also a recommendation, but still we have 60-day clock. So that's.
So we want to be able to hear from the community. We want to give the community a chance to be able to speak and then hear the recommendations. Or the board will vote at committee, make their recommendation to the full board, and then the full board will vote. So there's a process, and we want to make sure that we do it on a timely basis so that nothing is missed and that we do hear from the public. Because one thing you'll find, and you probably already know, this community is very vocal. And they will come to you with complaints, with any issues that we have. And they, don't get me wrong, they'll come to us too when it's a good thing. But if we don't do what we need to do, we will hear about it.
Case in point, the minutes.
Well, to continue what Jeremy said, as far as your work goes, it goes up the ladder from the community board up to borough president and on. Liquor license is the same thing. The board is only advisory. What the state liquor authority takes the board, I'm telling you this as a former board member, as vice chair of a couple of committees and a chair of a committee. Liquor licenses, the board can say, we don't want it because it's going to be a nuisance like we did on my former board, and they got the license anyway. However, the state liquor authority most of the time will listen to the board. Now you have cannabis licenses. The board is not getting any information, just that, for instance, a couple of stores down, you're going to have a new cannabis store soon. All right, this board has already heard it. I don't know if you voted on it or not. If you don't vote on it within 30 days, it gets approved, or whatever the cannabis board does. Okay, you could file for an extension of 30 days. There's lots of different technicalities involved. We had the City of Yes, there were 3 parts to that. I was on the City of Yes committee. We finally got the third part in on time. The board voted against the City of Yes for housing opportunity. However, it looks like city planning is trying to push it through anyway, even though 37 of the 59 community boards voted against it. The board does have some power, for instance, as far as parks go. The Parks Department came with 2 proposals here at one time, and the chair, the acting chair of the committee said that, I don't know, we like one, but we don't like the other. And she didn't know what to do, and I said, well, you could say to them, you could take one, but you want them to come back with the other one, which is what she did. And they had to come back, and they came back with a better proposal. Okay, so that, the board does have power, you just don't have to, you have to know how to use it. That's the thing.
Thank you. Anyone else? Here? Diana?
So I would like to report in about the South Municipal Lot, which is Broadsdale and Roxpark East, that the DOT presented to us, the board, some months ago, as part of a reconfiguration of the entire area. including the North Municipal Lot. So a few weeks ago, one of our BPECA members noticed workmen installing poles at the parking lot. And she asked them what was going on. And they said, oh, it's gonna become permanent parking by September 1st. So she started a conversation in our Facebook group and people had many questions. So we reached out to the DOT community liaison, Holly Malone. And after a couple of weeks of calls and emails, Holly's answer was always she had to go to the parking division to get the answers for us. It was announced, I think yesterday, that as of September 1st, the South Lot is going to be public parking. So I spoke with Holly this morning and she asked us to write a letter with all our questions about it. The two most important questions that come from the committee members are, can we get a preference for local residents who are used to parking there? And it's one of the low-income areas of the district. There's supportive housing.
30 seconds.
And safety. There have been a lot of break-ins. People have been asked to pay. Will there be a fence, lighting at the and our other main question is, why didn't the transportation committee follow up on this? After the presentation, we gave our reply, the board gave their response, and then nothing. The transportation committee has to follow up. Can't wait for just a member to,
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
I'll ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
You need our vote by September 1st? You need our letter by September 1st?
No. We sent a letter. Holly Malone asked them. We need to send a letter to her with all the questions that the PECA members who use that lot have about the switch over to permit parking. And so I sent it.
You need the letter from us? Oh,
No, just September
I'm
1st.
I've also Jeremy, the letter that I just sent today.
Councilman.
Steve has that.
So I have a meeting tomorrow from City
Oh,
Commissioner.
great.
I was presented with the south side parking situation. Nothing was ever mentioned or presented to us about the north of by Bronxdale Avenue. I just spoke to him briefly, but we're actually gonna have a meeting tomorrow to cash it out. From my understanding, it will be permitted parking, but there's going to be staff. It's gonna be lighting, there's gonna be cameras, so there will be an increase in safety for that lot. But again, the permit parking, I know there's been an issue about it, so we'll definitely address it. I will ask the question if your residents can have preferential parking.
Right, because it is part of a larger plan for the whole area, the north lot and the surrounding streets.
Yes,
It's not just individually, we're making this permit parking. And they're moving some of the permits that exist now in the south lot into in the north lot into the south lot. So that means that there are going to be fewer spaces available because there's people who already have permits in the north lot. We're going to have to move over to the south lot.
when they presented the south lot to me, the way that there was two different lots that they were working through, and the way that they presented it, that it was gonna increase the parking there. And what they presented to me totally made sense, but once they threw this Bronxdale site onto it, kind of,
Well, the Bronxdale site was always part of it. When they presented it to the community.
not when I got the presentation when I first started, so.
But when they presented it to the community board, it was a plan that they had for the entire area, including White Plains Road all the way up to Palm.
I got the south lot, and then I got White Plains Road, because two different presentations, but I've never been presented with Bronxdale, so.
If I remember correctly, we vote on it and one of the lots we voted for.
Yes.
To the other we voted against, and I think it was the south one we voted against any
Yes.
changes, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
I'm pretty sure that was it.
You had a question.
That was my question.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else in the gallery here in the room?
Sorry, I just want to be clear on something. So, the council member is officially a board member, so if she ever shows up to a full board meeting and she wants to sit at the table with all you guys,
She can.
don't think that's weird or anything.
No.
Any council member, it's her, Councilmember Riley or Felice, anybody that represents her district. Obviously, we don't let reps sit at the table, but just a point of.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Roxanne?
Did I have?
Do we have?
She's muted, she's
Do we
muted.
have post-
If you request an you can't undo it.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's been a while. So I'm speaking as the founder of Friends of Holland Parkway, who are not just coming to meetings and speaking about things that we've overheard at other meetings. I was actually brought in the front line regarding the Bronx, against the Bronxdale parking lot. We held rallies with residents of Holland Parkway and Bronx Park East, who we held rallies last year in March 2023. And the proposal was presented in September of 2022, Community Board 11. And I was following up every few months with the DOT, who kept telling me that they had not made a final determination on whether they will proceed with the Bronxdale lot. They were going to proceed with the White Plains meeting regarding making the EV chargers as well as Zipcar parking spaces. But to fast forward to now, what the problem is that they're playing word games because they're saying they're going to increase parking spaces. Actually, what they're doing is creating more paid parking space, but 74 free, or as they refer to unregulated spots, will be all gone. So the community loses 74 spaces that they had utilized, especially around the Uniport, Sagamore, where we have lots of members, actual members who come to your meetings and come to rallies, not people that that are not visible here, who said that when Uniport was created, it was created with no parking space, and they were informed that Bronxdale, which is on the south side, will be utilized for residents because there was no parking included in those buildings.
30
They
seconds.
lost so much parking spaces with the Bronxdale Road Dot. And lastly, I'm hearing people say, "Oh, we have too many people coming to our meetings talking about the same thing." But on the Bronxdale hearing, we had 99 people at least in attendance because I did flyers and I confirmed with members. Holland Parkway, you had at least 19 people. A community board is weak when you have no presence. For you to say that you don't want people coming to the meetings to talk about the same thing. Not one person here, including myself, speak for other people. Every person has their own voice.
Thank you,
We're
Mr.
not
Donald.
leaders. No one elected
you.
us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roxanne.
Is there anyone else online who wishes to
And
speak?
sometimes it's at the time that you keep cutting me off, kind of turns me off because I'm giving you information what's happening, but I always get cut off. But anyhow, thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you. Anyone else online? We don't. Well, we can't make any motions tonight because we didn't have the agenda up on time. Any old business?
So somebody brought brochures, some community boards paid literally like $10,000 for this.
Is this the one you made?
Yes.
There you go.
Made for my salary.
Cool. I've been looking forward to this for 4 years. Not even joking.
All right, so no old business. Any new business?
Thank you.
Welcome to the team.
Thank you, yeah.
Welcome to everyone for joining us this evening. Councilmember Marmarotti, thank you so much for your generosity with our board. And if there's nothing else, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Just a reminder, if you haven't signed in as a guest on the sign-in sheet, please do so before you leave. We like to try and keep a written attendance of who's here, board members and guests alike.
It's in the.
What,
All right,
speaking of that,
we will be adjourning 7:15.
speaking of that, Cindy, I'll turn the recording off, but